All right, so it seems like every single year, kids ask me, what are some of the most common lab safety violations or ways that kids get hurt in the lab? Well, fortunately, most of the injuries I've ever had in the past in the lab have been extremely minor. And that's the way I like to keep it, because safety would probably be my number one focus anytime that we're doing labs. But there are a couple of rules in place that we have in a chemistry lab, and the reason why we have those rules is so that we can stay safe, okay? And so some of the minor things would be like, don't touch things that are hot, you're gonna burn your hands, okay? That's probably the biggest thing that might happen in the lab, is that you just touch something and you get a little burn on your fingers, on your skin. A lot of times that'll be whether it's touching glassware, or most of the time it's when kids touch metal that they think that's cool, had plenty of time to cool down, but it really hasn't. The other thing that might happen is broken glass and getting cuts and scrapes. And so one of the rules is for broken glass is do not touch it with your bare hand. Oftentimes a lot of kids, they want to hide it that they broke the glass, and so they'll start cleaning it up with their hands and putting it on their piece of paper, whatever it is, and try to throw the glass away before a teacher knows. I don't care that you broke glass. You're going to. It's chemistry class, okay? But we got to be safe about cleaning up that glass. Okay? And so when you pick up the glass with your bare hand, not oftentimes, but a lot of times, kids will get cuts or scrapes with that broken glass. Okay? Now, also with the broken glass, we want to make sure we clean it all off the ground too, because sometimes kids will wear sandals or flip-flops in the classroom, which they shouldn't be doing in a chemistry lab. And then those little pieces of glass could get into their shoes and cause cuts and scrapes on our feet as well. Okay? That's the reason why we wear closed-toed shoes, real shoes in a chemistry lab, especially when we're doing the actual science experiment. So if we do have a broken glass, we're going to use a broom and a dustpan, and we'll just use that to clean it up instead of trying to touch it with the bare hand. Okay? Always tell a teacher. Last but not least might be some minor flame injuries. Especially with long hair or baggy clothes. I have had a couple of, unfortunately, girls with long hair. They weren't kind of paying attention, and they kind of whipped their hair around a little bit, and some of their hair might get caught in a flame. I've never had anybody lose all of their hair, okay? It's normally not that big of a deal, okay? But sometimes hair can get singed as it's kind of waving through the flame. A couple of rules with that is that if you have long hair or baggy clothes, we need to make sure that we are tying the hair back, and then the clothes, if you could take them off and put them away. If we have a coat or something baggy, take it off. You don't want the chemicals or the fire to burn those clothes. And if you can't, make sure you draw string, anything like that, or put away. Okay. And the second rule to kind of go with that is pay attention. Okay. When you're working with, especially an open flame, be very, very careful about how you are moving or spinning or turning or looking away from a flame. Never leave a flame or any chemical experiment unattended in case to try to avoid accidents. With that being said, one of the most common things that will happen is that kids will say, well, I'm very, very safe. That's fine. Most of the accidents in the chemistry lab are not your fault. Most of them are somebody else's fault, and you were just kind of an accidental, somebody that was close by, and you got the result of it. Okay? Most accidents happen that way. Somebody did not clean up glass, and somebody accidentally stepped on it an hour later. Okay? So we have to be very careful about make sure we follow the rules, just paying attention, because most of the time those accidents that happen to you really aren't your fault. They're just accidents that happen. Okay? All right, so be careful, wear your shoes, don't touch hot things, and make sure that if you do have any accidents, especially broken glass or anything like that, that you tell the teacher and you get the help that you need.